Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nidus Anarchy series. I'm your host Adam, the CIO and co-founder of Nidus, and today we're going to talk about how Okta just laid off 7% of its workforce. So today, almost a year to the date that they did their last round of layoffs. Last year they laid off around 300 people. Well, today Okta just came out and announced that they're laying off 400 people throughout the entire enterprise, which equates to about 7% of their workforce. The CEO released a long letter saying why they're doing it and all this stuff. I mean, it's pretty much the reason everyone gets laid off in any company, right? Profits aren't there. They're losing money. The largest overhead are human expenses. That's just inevitable. So what do? They're going to can people, which sucks. This is something unfortunate I think is going to be the beginning of kind of a long trend that we're going to see kind of every quarter moving forward from a lot of these companies. And a big reason is because they're calling it the COVID mass hiring. So during COVID, everyone went on the hiring rampage because they got a bunch of money from the government and everyone working remote, and IT's like, hey, let's capture the dollars. So there was a huge hiring spree for just people over the past couple years, and I think now is finally catching up to everyone because they're just not making the money. The revenues aren't there to support them. So in Okta's case, let's do kind of a little bit of a financial breakdown as to what they just went through, right? So they made 1.9 billion in revenue last year. 1.8 billion of that was purely on their subscription, which is basically their software. That's obviously the lion's share of their income. And they made it something around 64 million in services. So services, definitely not their primary source of business, pretty much all primarily on the revenue of their software subscriptions. Now their operating expenses, this is where the numbers really start to come in. So about 620-ish million or so, that was spent on actual development, R&D of software, like that's actual development costs. 1.5 billion goes into salaries and human overhead. So that's obviously the massive amount of where it is. So is laying off 400 people going to change that? Well, in the end, when you figure out what their net income was, their net income last year was a loss of $815 million. They've been losing money, I think, steadily since like 2016. So I'm not a financial guru, so don't ask me how a company like that can just lose money year over year and just still stay in business. I don't know. But last year they lost almost $1 billion. And obviously, because it's very simple, they only have one real revenue stream, which is their subscriptions, and their largest expenditure is salaries. So you can kind of figure it out. So they laid off 400 people. If you kind of figure out like a mean salary of around $200,000 a year, you're looking at around $80 million in savings. So is that 80 million going to fully recover that 800 and something million in losses? No. So I think it's just they're trying to keep as many people on as they can to keep the business running, but also they know they have to cut back because they have to save expenses somewhere because their stock price is not doing well. I mean, they're down I know, I'm not sure what it is right now, but I know they're well under $100, and a couple years ago they were over, I think, $200 a share. So a huge decline in stock price. So they got to do whatever they can to get that price back up. That's kind of the downside of being a public company is you really care primarily about that stock price. So I think this was a big push to try to get their stock to rebound. I believe it went up like 6% today on the news. So that's kind of what people expect for it on that kind of standpoint, is because when you're public, everything has to go towards the shareholders. So again, Okta just canned 400 people. If anyone is looking for a job, I highly recommend, to start reaching out to all the headhunters that are out there. There's a lot of places out there. If any of you were working for Okta and you need a gig, hit me up, adam@nidus.com. I'll see if I can help you out. I can at least make some introductions. I can, see if there's some jobs around there. I mean, I'm sure you know more than just Okta. You probably have a huge list of experiences and skills. So, hey, I'm down here to help if you guys need it. So hit me up. I'll see you guys around. Later.